hosts. I'm Diane Bortoletto.
And I'm Monique Chicato.
Let's do it.
Hello, and welcome to And Away We Go F1 Podcast, a Formula One podcast that goes beyond the track limits to talk about travel, food and lifestyle surrounding the sport. I'm Diane Bortoletto, your pre-Drive to Survive Formula One fan, and today I'm in Perth. And a big welcome back.
I'm Monique Chicato, your post-Drive to Survive Formula One fan. And today I am at home in Stavanger and back for the first time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we've missed you on the pod, Mo.
I know, and I've missed doing it. I'm really sorry.
No, you can't help not being well.
Pregnancy is fun, eh?
Well, you're here now, and what a race. Well, first, before we start talking about the race, I've got to say, episode 50 to us.
Welcome back, yay!
Yeah, 50 episode milestone I'm really proud of. I think that's a huge achievement. I think our first episode was the 6th of December, so not quite a year.
Almost.
And this is the Mexican Grand Prix that we've had on in Mexico City. Oh my goodness. This race has caused me no end of stress and just stress.
Grief.
I was actually worried I wouldn't have a voice to do the podcast because I was absolutely screaming at the TV at so many different points throughout the race. A lot of it directed at the commentary team on Sky Sports who drove me absolutely round the bend, down the hill and round the bend again. That Karun Chandok, I normally don't mind what he's got to say, but I feel like as far as British bias goes, like he is captain of the team. He'd be saying things like, and Oscar Piastri hasn't been able to pass him. It's like, it's been 4 laps and he's made up 3 seconds. Like, oh my gosh.
Do you know, one of the comments that really got me, he said something about how, I think Piastri had just overtaken someone, can't remember who. It just said, Piastri's managed to overtake and blah, blah, blah. And then they switched to speaking about Lando Norris and they're like, this has huge ramifications for his championship fight. And I was like, what about the fact that Oscar just overtook someone? That also has huge ramifications for the championship fight because that's more points to him. So, but they just they were focused on Lando and the championship and that was it. So, I mean, sort of rightly so, given Lando's race. Like, I'm not going to take anything away from Lando.
No, credit where credit's due. Lando had the Grand Slam. He did really well. Pole position, led every lap, won the race convincingly.
28 seconds.
Yeah, well, it helps, when you got clean air and no one in front and in a great car that he's able to extract the maximum from. Lando, credit where credit's due. Yeah, great race for him. Not a great result for us who are cheering for Oscar to win the championship.
Top 10. The top 10 finish.
As we said, Lando finished on top convincingly 28 seconds ahead. Of second place, Charles Leclerc, who also qualified in second, which was brilliant. And then in third place was Max Verstappen. Oh, gosh.
Yes.
He's just finished third. It could have been a second there. So Max is in third in the Red Bull. Ollie Behrman in fourth in the Haas, the team's best ever finish in Formula One, I think, ever. I'm sure that's what they said. So the rookie. At one point, he was sitting in third and I was thinking he might get his first podium, but he finished in fourth, which was just a brilliant result for him. Then the Australian Oscar Piastri was the championship leader, finished in 5th, and Oscar qualified in 7th. So he did actually make up 2 places. Kimi Antonelli in the Mercedes finished in 6th. George Russell in the Mercedes finished in 7th. Lewis Hamilton, the Ferrari, finished 8th after getting a 10-second penalty. Gabriel Bortoletto, my cousin, won T, not 2.
Also.
Yes, well done to him. So he finished in 10th and took out the last points position of the race. But this race delivered so much. It was, besides Lando being miles out in front and not really getting much camera time or screen time rather, and
it was actually quite nice to not have to hear about him.
To be honest. Well, they actually did talk about him all the time during the race, but just not about his driving in that minute. It was more about the championship, like you said.
Yeah. But I actually said to Espen as we were watching it, I don't know how I'm going to stay awake. And I did, because there was something happening on track or in the pits or like the entire time. And this is what you watch Formula One for. It wasn't one of those like everyone just trundling around in formation. It was a really, really good race.
It was really exciting. So much action. I mean, exciting in that there was so much action on track.
Yeah. Not exactly the results we as Australians wanted to see.
We've got to mention the booing. Did you hear that when he was interviewed after the race and on the podium? The crowd booed Lando, and the Sky Sports commentators afterwards, they were just dumbfounded. They were like, well, why? What's their beef with Lando? Like, what's Lando ever done to Mexico? Like, it's not like he's racing Checo Perez. They couldn't get their head around, probably because they're British and probably because they don't realise that the whole world, except for them, see how McLaren has been favouring Lando over Oscar with these whole papaya rules. And maybe McLaren have been trying to do the right thing, trying to be fair, but more often than not, it's fallen Lando's way. It's fallen Lando's way, and he's benefited from it more than what Oscar has. So that's why I think he was booed.
I didn't get to watch that because it had gotten late and we wanted to go to bed. That is, I mean, terrible sportsmanship, but also, haha. Sorry, I'm so bad at the moment. I have no space for feelings and emotion at the moment. So it will just...
Pregnancy hormones, no filter. Yeah.
And yeah.
No, look, I mean, we condone booing. Booing to anybody in a sporting arena it's not on.
It's gross. It's childish.
It is. Yeah, it is. And it surprised me. I actually didn't expect that from, any Formula One fans, let alone Mexican Formula One fans. But they just were not happy about it.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, I think Formula One fans just want to see fair racing on track without team interference that are manipulating results. And that's unfortunately what has been happening a little bit this year in McLaren.
Yeah. And speaking of manipulating team results, there was obviously all that drama with the Mercedes team on track. So George was behind Kimi Antonelli, and George on the radio, I have heard him like that on the radio before. There was a lot of F-bombs dropped. Yeah. There was a lot of urgency trying to get his team to swap him and Antonelli to let George pass because he was being threatened by Piastri from behind. Just some of those radio interactions. And credit where credit's due, he did very plainly lay out his reasoning for asking to be let pass. And he said, I have more pace. Let me pass Antonelli. I want to have a go at Behrman. If I can't get past Behrman, we will swap back. If you watched the race, then it's obvious. If you didn't watch the race, it's not obvious. But they let Russell overtake Antonelli, and he ended up getting overtaken by Piastri. So Piastri overtook Antonelli and Russell, and then Antonelli was straight on the radio and was like, so are we going to swap the positions back now? Because he didn't do what he said he was going to do.
No, a few laps had passed and I think they'd both pitted as well. And Antonelli was like, well, can we resume normal programming now? And George had said if he couldn't get the job done and overtake Behrman that he would swap back, and he didn't get the job done. So that's only fair.
Yep.
They did. They swapped back, and there was no complaints that we heard on the radio from George about that. So that's all good and well, I think.
This is fair team orders. Fair team orders. We like fair team orders on the track when it makes sense.
When it makes sense. Yeah.
Basically, since those orders that were given to Oscar to swap places because of the terrible pit stop that Norris had.
Oh, in Monza.
Yes. Things haven't looked so great for Piastri. And all I can think of is, if that didn't happen, where we would be now. And that's the worst position to be in.
Yeah, if Oscar's mind wasn't preoccupied with papaya rules, Lando favoritism, the compound effects of McLaren having a team celebration photo on the podium in Singapore without Oscar, who was in the media pen doing his job, all of that, I just think it's just compounded the issue, right? So,
yeah,
I mean, there's been reports too or rumours, unfounded rumours, I must say, that McLaren are deliberately sabotaging Oscar's car to give Lando the advantage. And McLaren, of course, have shut that down. I mean, that thought did cross my mind. Like, how much do they want Lando to win this? The margins are so insanely small. The race before, he just didn't gel with the car. He had a really clunky weekend.
Yeah.
So whether it's just these tracks or whether it's his car or whether it's his mindset or whether it's a combination of all three, I don't know. But I feel more positive about Oscar now that the race has been run and just watching him fight to finish as high up as possible in Mexico.
Yes, because that overtake on, was it Russell, when he was really late on the brakes, and it was such a beautiful overtake. And you could see that he had been thinking about this for a few laps. He'd been stuck behind Russell pretty much the entire race. And he'd been thinking about this particular overtake, like, a lot had happened in between pit stops, blah, blah, blah. And it was just a wonderful overtake. And that is the Oscar that we know. That's the calculated, calm Oscar that we know. That's like, right, I have to take this opportunity. Let's go.
Get the job done.
Obviously, I've missed the last 2 episodes. And in those episodes, I missed being able to discuss the little incident that took out both Norris and Piastri out of the race. And
it's a sprint race, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that particular incident, just seeing all the comments about that and people being like, oh, well, are you going to give something to Norris now? Blah, blah, blah. And the fact that McLaren have now said that because of that incident, there are no repercussions anymore for Norris for what he did previous race. And all I can think is it was a racing incident where he accidentally took out Norris. It wasn't like a crappy decision by him. He didn't purposely do it. And they both, neither of them had an advantage there. They both were out of the race.
It wasn't a smart racing move by Oscar, who should have known better. On lap 1, if you're going to do a switchback, the chances of somebody being in your blind spot are like almost 100% on lap 1, on the first corner or second corner. Yes, it wasn't deliberate, of course, to take out Lando, but it also
wasn't a calculated move.
No, it wasn't his best racing craft coming to the fore then. No, I think it was a risky move. And to me, that move almost smelt like desperation. Like he knew that lap 1 was when he had to get an advantage if he was going to do something in that race. And it just ended in disaster for both him and Lando and Nico Hülkenberg in the end.
You're right. It reeked of desperation. You could feel it. You knew it. Which then in contrast to his start this week, where he lost 2 places, he was being overly cautious this race, but it paid off because he ended up 2 spots higher. I mean, that last lap, if we could have just...
Oh my gosh, the virtual safety car coming in at the second, second last lap, because Oscar was catching, this is when I was yelling at Karoon, the commentator on Sky Sports, for saying, Oscar's not being able to pass Behrman. It's because Oscar had just gotten past George Russell and he was catching Behrman. Like he made up something like almost 4 seconds and he was on Behrman. He was catching Behrman.
He had DRS on Behrman by the time the virtual safety car came.
Exactly. And then the virtual safety car came on and then that just ended that. The cars just paraded around in order. The virtual safety car came off with half a lap to go and then it was too late. So
it was terrible timing for both Piastri and Verstappen because Verstappen had closed up 10 or 12 seconds, I think it was,
12.
On Leclerc.
Yep.
Yeah. So he had closed up from 3rd position, 12 seconds on Leclerc.
20 laps or less than 20 laps.
He was on fire on that tyre. Leclerc must be, kissing the ground that the safety cars drive on because that saved his 2nd position.
Yeah, Charles did say in the post-race interview he was quite pleased about the virtual safety car coming out at that point because, he knows that Max was right there ready to go. Max,
He would have
one
taken
more
the
lap, and Max would have finished in second place.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Which so the virtual safety car, came out because Sainz had a engine failure.
So Sainz had an engine failure, but the commentary team were saying that he'd pulled off onto the side or a slip road or something. His car was actually behind a barrier. So they were confused as to why there was a virtual safety car when there wasn't any kind of risk or danger.
Yeah.
On the telecast, on the Sky feed we were watching, we didn't even see
it.
Sainz's car. Didn't see it at all. So I don't know whether it actually was behind a barrier or where it was, but going from what the commentary team was saying, they were just like, why have we got a virtual safety car? A virtual safety car, I guess, has kept Max in third place and Oscar in fifth. It could have been Max in second place and Oscar in fourth.
Which would have been, it still would have been a great race for Ollie Behrman, who finished in fourth. Hats off to that kid. He got driver of the day too.
Rightly so,
because I think he started in ninth. Okay, so he made up 5 positions and he was racing with the big guns. He was racing, trying to defend Max Verstappen in his rookie year. This kid that looks like he has barely just made it to high school has been defending against the reigning world champion. And just imagine that in a backmarker car, he's defending against Max. He's overtaken people to get himself up into fourth. It was just incredible. On social media this morning, I just saw briefly, he was so emotional watching his dad and his girlfriend and his mum crying about, they were so happy about this best finish that Ollie's ever had. And he was choking up in the interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so beautiful to see. It means so much to all of them.
In his rookie season, to get the best ever finish that Haas team has ever had. I feel like I'm tearing up now just thinking about it. It really was, this is why we love sport. This is why we love Formula One, is all the emotion that's attached to it. And, and he said to be on track and fending off Max Verstappen. I grew up watching Max Verstappen. He's one of the reasons I wanted to be a Formula One driver. And, there he is. Oh, so, yeah. Amazing.
It was very special. So Ollie had a great race. Unfortunately, Sainz, who brought on the virtual safety car, had a horrendous race. Qualified really well for the Williams, had a 5-place grid penalty from last race. And then he had a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which actually turned out to be an issue with the pit lane limiter. I really do feel for Sainz.
Speaking of pit stops, Ollie Behrman did credit his team and said that's the best pit stop that they've done all year, 2.3 second pit stop. And he said, we don't have the latest equipment. We don't have all the resources that the bigger teams have. They're the smallest team with the smallest budget. So that also just only increases, the joy of seeing him get that 4th place as well. I thought that was a really nice thing for him to do, was to pay credit to the mechanics for a good pit stop. Meanwhile,
of course,
Oscar's first pit stop wasn't great. It was over, 3.5 seconds.
Piastri's pit stop was basically a measure of desperation to try and undercut and get past Antonelli, because there was the real threat of Russell coming up behind Piastri. And they wanted to make sure that didn't happen. One of the other misfortunes was the 10-second penalty that was applied to Lewis Hamilton in all that melee at the start. It was like watching the Skittles when you've just thrown your bowling ball through it, because all the cars went all over the road, off the road.
At one point, there were 4 abreast on that first corner. It is the longest straight in the calendar to corner 1 from lights out from the grid. But at one point they were 4 abreast. I was like, oh my God. And, cars, and not even just lap 1, lots of times around, it was 71 laps, cars were going off because they were, that first corner, turn 1 was the best place to overtake. If you were not on the right line or being squeezed by whoever you overtake, people were just running off everywhere.
straight
Yeah,
off.
exactly.
And Stappen went off and he was investigated for gaining a place by going off the track. Hamilton went off and was investigated for going off the track and gaining an advantage. There were a couple of other people that went off. Alonso got spun around at the start, but Hamilton was the only one that got a penalty for going off the track. And he was ropeable because he wasn't the only one that went off the track. And he was wondering why he was the only one that got a 10-second penalty. To be fair, it was definitely warranted because he did gain an advantage. He didn't give the place back. But did we look closely enough at Max Verstappen going off? And, you know.
And Charles Leclerc also went off, but he gave that place back straight away. He wasn't penalised for that. With the two Ferraris qualifying second and third, I was kind of hoping, would this be Lewis's first race podium?
I know. And this is why it was so sad, is because he was racing so well.
And we had 4 DNFs besides Carlos Sainz that you mentioned. Fernando Alonso DNF'd, Nico Hülkenberg DNF'd, both with engine failures, and Liam Lawson hardly got started and he DNF'd really early on lap 5. I've got a fun fact.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. All right. I've just had a look at F1 Live Pulse, the app that I bang on about. Kira, who was on last week, was one of the co-founders. Because of all the overtakes that were done, take a guess, who do you think did the most overtakes during the race?
I am going to say, hang on, let me think. Oh, Verstappen? No. Piastri.
Piastri is equal with Antonelli. Antonelli. Both of them did 7 overtakes during the race. Well, I suppose Antonelli, there's Russell. They're probably counting that as one. Oscar did 7 overtakes. Lance Stroll, random, 6 overtakes. Lance Stroll finished in 14th.
Random. Yeah. But you don't, unfortunately, poor Stroll gets zero limelight in this entire season because he's pretty much at the back the entire, it's kind of like Gasly and Colapinto. You just don't hear about them because Plum last.
Well, he qualified in 19th. So he started 19th, on the grid, and he finished in 14th. So,
good on him.
There were 4 DNFs, but he did make up a place. Lewis Hamilton also did 5 overtakes. Carlos Sainz did 5 overtakes. Ollie Behrman did 5 overtakes. Alex Albon did 4. George Russell 4. Fernando Alonso did 3. Hulk 2. Gabriel Bortoletto 2. Gasly 1. Tsunoda 1. Ocon 1.
See? Exciting race.
Lots and lots of overtakes, which we like to see. Oh, well, I was absolutely exhausted after the race, not from staying up late. I got up early to watch it because it was on at 4 a.m. Perth time. But I was drained. Like my throat is actually a little sore because I was screaming at the TV so much. And but that's it for Mexico. Got a week off and then Brazil. Let's hope that Oscar's come out of this race knowing he's still got that fight, knowing he is equal lead in overtakes for the race. So if we discount the swap between Antonelli and Russell, which is counted as an overtake, Oscar did the most overtakes of the race. So hopefully he can take that and see all the good work that he's done and take a lot of confidence from that. The one thing that I will say about Oscar Piastri is that where there's an opportunity to learn and improve, I feel like no one does it better than what he does. And even from the start of a weekend to the end of a weekend, a race weekend, you can see that often in, FP1, FP2, FP3, he's not overly competitive with the times, but then he knows exactly the apex to take. He knows exactly the braking points and he's able to make up that time when it counts in the race. So hopefully after the last, 4 races where it's just been really not great for Oscar, let's hope that he's able to take all the positivity from this one and come back to Brazil fighting.
Now he's chasing, and I use that term loosely because he's 1 point behind. He's not having to fight back from 34 points or anything like that. Now that he's chasing, there might be a little bit more fire under his bum, a little bit more urgency. It really is anyone's game at the moment. And it's going to come down to who starts ahead, who is the smarter, more consistent driver, who keeps their cool.
Takes advantage of opportunities and converts them.
But with the right amount of hunger, obviously.
And who doesn't have any mistakes from their team as far as like pit stops or bad strategy calls go. Let's just run through the points, shall we, of the Drivers' Championship. Lando Norris currently leading the Drivers' Championship by 1 point after this race over Oscar Piastri. Lando's on 357, Oscar on 356. Then Max Verstappen in the Red Bull on 321. So Max is 35 points behind Oscar, 36 points behind Lando. Max is still in striking distance, so we cannot rule him out yet. Then George Russell in...
Sorry to interrupt now that we've just gone through the top three, but I would rather Max Verstappen win the championship over Oscar Piastri than Lando win the championship over Piastri.
I know where you're coming from, and I think all of the booing fans in Mexico are probably on the same page as you as well.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, continue on. Sorry.
Okay, so that's the top three. And then we've got George Russell in fourth in the Mercedes on 258. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari on 210 points. Lewis Hamilton in the other Ferrari on 146 points. Kimi Antonelli on 97 in the Mercedes. In eighth is Alex Albon in the Williams on 73 points. Ninth is Nico Hulkenberg on 41 points in the Kick Sauber. 10th is Isaac Hadjar in the Racing Bulls on 39 points. So that's the top 10 drivers. Now, in the teams, so we know McLaren's won. That's all done. In second place...
It was a switcheroony.
That's right. So Ferrari are on 356 points in second place in the Constructors. Then Mercedes is on 355 points, 1 point behind Ferrari. Yeah, the fight is on.
These are the exact same numbers as first and second in the Drivers' Championship.
Exactly.
356 and 355. Yeah.
In fourth place is Red Bull on 346 points. So they're 10 points behind Ferrari. Then we've got Williams on 111, 111 points. In fifth, Racing Bulls on 72, Aston Martin on 69. Haas in eighth place on 62 points. So that's hotly contested. They're, 72 points, 69 points, 62 points, and 60 points is Kick Sauber. So from sixth to ninth, there's a good battle on there in the Constructors. And then there's Lonely Alpine in 10th, just on 20 points.
Oof, and that's thanks to Gasly.
Well, yeah, and Franco Colapinto not scoring anything yet.
Yes, exactly. Yes, interesting.
It was Mexico. Did you have a chance to cook?
No, very sad because Mexican food, proper Mexican food, is fantastic. And you can obviously simplify a lot of the recipes to make tacos and, you don't have to go the whole rigmarole and cook some meat for 7 days and make your own tortillas and stuff like that. Sad that I didn't, but proper Mexican food.
Gosh, I haven't eaten Mexican food in the longest time, but I do like it. One dish that's I've always been curious about that I've not actually tried is, I think it's called chicken mole, and I think it's got chocolate in it.
It does, yeah.
Any main course with chocolate in it gets a big vote from me. I've never had it. Have you had that before?
I haven't. No, I have not tried mole, but I have eaten deep fried crickets. I have eaten.
I have.
Was it at?
I think it was at an event we were both at.
I haven't tried mole, but there are a lot of the kind of traditional dishes that you don't see at these Tex-Mex. I think that's a really important thing to point out too, is that a lot of people think Mexican food is Tex-Mex, and Tex-Mex originated in Texas, not
in Mexico.
And it's kind of like this fusion-y cuisine. And don't get me wrong, Tex-Mex is great if that's what you feel like. But Tex-Mex kind of covers off the fast food Mexican chains. That's generally Tex-Mex. The stuff that you buy, like the Old El Paso stuff in the stores, that's Tex-Mex. And Mexican food, I think a lot of people are really confused. If you order a taco, people are expecting giant burritos because there's just this confusion in their heads about that's what a taco is, something this big and, you wrap it all up. No, street tacos are like this big and they're made of a corn tortilla, not a flour tortilla. So they're harder and coarser and a lot more flavor. I think we get very confused between our Mexican and our Tex-Mex. Guacamole goes across both of them.
Yeah, guacamole. Oh, what a winner. I have never been to Mexico. Have you been to Mexico?
No. And whenever we talk about what races we dream of going to, the Mexican Grand Prix has always, always, always been one of the races that I wanted to go to. Not just because I want to see all the mariachi and the Formula One theme song. In the mariachi. And it's funny seeing on social media everyone getting all excited about the Formula One theme song in the mariachi style. Like, it's not just me. That's one of the reasons that I would like to go to that race. But I also have so desperately wanted to go to Mexico for so long because the food, the culture, the vibrancy, it feels very me. I mean, look at me. I'm sitting here wearing a bright red and pink leopard print jumper. I'm not a wallflower, and neither is like Mexican culture. It's bright. It's, it's desperately been somewhere that I wanted to go, but not particularly Mexico City.
I'd like to go to Mexico as well. I mean, I think Mexico does get a bad rap from a tourist perspective. I think it was only it might be 2 years ago now, but 2 Australians were murdered there. So it gets a bad rap in our media as being quite unsafe. Of course, you've got all the Netflix shows of the Mexican cartels, etc., and, all the organised crime. I feel like there's a perception of Mexico that it's, poor, dangerous. But Kim Illman, who's also from Perth, who's a Formula One photographer, goes and does every single Grand Prix. Give him a follow on Instagram if you don't already. He produces some really great content away from the racing around Formula One. But he was feeling unwell and went to a Mexican hospital before the race and did a post about it and broke down the costs of everything that he got. So he got an ECG and he got various different tests, and it ended up costing him like something crazy, like $28. And he said that the level of care was top notch. In fact, the medications that he had to buy that he was prescribed afterwards actually cost more than the hospital visit and all the tests.
It's crazy considering, what it costs you to get medical care in America, right?
Oh my gosh, right? You would not want to get sick in America, not for anything.
No. And you're literally just across borders. So, the closest I've ever come to being in Mexico or getting to Mexico, I've been to San Antonio in Texas. So Tex-Mex is huge there because San Antonio is pretty much where it originated from. But because they're so close to the border, there's such a Mexican influence. And God, I loved it, more so the Mexican side of it than the Texan side. And then also in San Diego. So San Diego, you can actually catch a train across the border and go shopping for the day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. And obviously it's a whole lot cheaper across the border in Mexico. There are pockets of San Diego that are huge, they're basically Mexican, little Mexican areas and
neighborhoods.
Yeah, Mexican neighborhoods. And there was a cigar bar that I went and sat at and was the only female. And they were all wondering what I was doing there. If I was okay, did I need help? It's okay, I know cigars. It's fine. Making the tortillas from scratch. You could buy, your fresh tortillas, and it was really, really wonderful. But that's the closest I've ever got to Mexico. I know within our other field of expertise, the travel writing side, there is a travel PR that looks after Los Cabos in Mexico. As you were saying, the bad rap that Mexico sometimes gets in the media, Los Cabos is the complete opposite. It's where all the celebrities go. It's very high end. It's very safe, very clean. It's kind of like the glitzy area of Mexico, which if you're looking for the beach clubs and stuff like that, that is the place to go. If you did a little bit of the kind of real side of Mexico and a little bit of the Los Cabos side, it'd be quite fun, I reckon. So
my sister and my mum went to Mexico and they went and saw the ancient pyramids that are there in Mexico.
Yep.
So they've got pyramids in Mexico as well.
Yeah.
They really enjoyed Mexico. They were traveling on their own. And I think they just had a couple of days where they had a local guide or different local guides take them around. I think I would enjoy it too. Like, I really like Latin culture. I've been to South America. I really like that. The closest I've been is Panama, and that's a disastrous story because I got trapped in the Panama airport where I nearly missed the first game I had tickets to the FIFA World Cup in Brazil because
You were stuck.
The airline had overbooked the flights. And so we flew in to change planes and we got stuck at the airport for something like 17 hours and almost missed the first game. It was an absolute nightmare. So, yeah, Panama, Coda Airlines, never, ever, 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 never, ever, never fly them. Never. Like, it was just, they got a reputation for overbooking as they did back then. And yeah, when I started kicking up a stink going, hang on a minute, I've got to get on this plane. I've got to go to the game. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of other, travelers were like, get in line, lady. Like, we've been here for 2 days waiting. And I was like, oh my God. Anyway, we did make it to the game, but Panama is the closest that I've gotten to, and it wasn't a good experience. I've done bits of North America. I've done South America a couple of times, more extensively, but Central America, not made it there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, I would absolutely love to go, but that's probably not going to be for a while now. So as we alluded to in the opening, and obviously I have been away for 2 weeks, I've not been so well, which is fine. It's normal. Pregnancy, yay. And I was really, 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 really hoping that I'd be able to make it to the end of the season here on the podcast, but unfortunately my head and mental state take priority. So this will be my last podcast for a while, unfortunately.
The last one. Well, at least you're ending on a high with Oscar showing some promising form and, ending on our 50th episode, which is, like I said at the start, a really good achievement. I mean, something crazy, like 90% of podcasts don't make it past 17 episodes. So we're, in the top 10, probably in the top 5% now, if you think about it that way. Thank you for starting the podcast with me and, jumping on every week.
Thank you.
We're talking about our favourite subject in the world, Formula One.
Don't worry, guys. Di's not going anywhere. Going anywhere. Di will be back.
I'm staying. I'm sticking around. The podcast will keep going. I've already got a guest lined up for next week, actually. So if you like cars, you'll like this guest. I'm excited to be talking to him. But for now, it's like, thank you again, Mon, and all the best for the rest of your pregnancy. I'll be sharing news on the podcast when we've got news to share of, the little bubba when she comes along.
Yeah, and thank you, Di. It's been so much fun, and I feel awful, but I know this is the right decision.
You got to put your family first. Totally.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll still be watching. I'll still be listening. I'll still be around.
Maybe you can help get our stats up in Norway.
On that note, guys, if you've liked what you've listened to, you can leave a rating, a review, a comment, chuck us a like, chuck us a follow on all your favorite podcast listening apps or on YouTube, if that's where you happen to be watching us. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Or you can send us an email at andawaywegof1podcast@gmail.com.
So glad you're here to say that. I stuffed that up so many times in the last 2 weeks.
Takes a while to learn.
But thank you, everybody, for having us in your ears. Until next week and until lights out.
It's lights out and away we go.
And Away We Go podcast is produced by Diane Bortoletto and Monique Ciccato.
Let's do it.